Trent Williams recently just restructured his contract, and this could change everything about the New York Jets versus San Francisco 49ers game on Monday Night Primetime, the opening game for the New York Jets, and Matt and I are here to break it all down. So what's up, guys? Welcome to Jets Digest, first ever video, and we're going to jump right into it, as we always do, because Trent Williams recently just restructured his contract with the San Francisco 49ers, meaning the holdout is over. He is going to be playing for the Niners against the Jets. And just to add a little bit extra sadness, you'll call it, Haason Reddick is still MIA, meaning that not only do the 49ers get back one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, at the same time the Jets do not have the pass rusher that they just acquired after losing Bryce Huff. Matt, obviously, you hate to see that the Jets are just kind of taking a hit here. It really, for me, goes back more to the Haason Reddick thing, seeing these other contracts get restructured, yet for some reason the Jets have not been able to get it done. They've stood stern on it, which I don't mind. But what are your thoughts just on all of this? How is this going to affect the game on Monday?
So I think it's very important for the Monday night game because Trent Williams has been one of the best tackles in the NFL over the last decade. He has, in his career, 11 Pro Bowls, which is insane. And the man is 36 years old and is still getting paid like a top tackle because he's just that good at the position. Now, the Jets, as a biased Jets fan, I was really hoping that he was going to be holding out for this game and that we were going to be able to really get after Brock Purdy, but doesn't look like that's the way it's going to happen. However, the Jets may not have Haason Reddick, but they got 3 UDFAs at one's at defensive tackle, the other 2 are at defensive end, and they're going to help us get after Brock Purdy because Coach Saleh always talks about how he wants the defense to come in waves, and the defensive line is always going to have fresh bodies ready to get after the passer. They're not going to get tired. The new guys we got Leonard Taylor out of Miami, we got Watts, and we got the guy out of Michigan. We all know him. Yeah.
This is like when I try to talk about Knicks players in the G League. Sometimes you forget their names. I mean, I do Yankees Digest, dude. I have to talk about 5 million different relief pitchers. But I do see your point there. Honestly, when it comes down to it, I'm excited for the game, obviously. I think every Jets fan is. You finally get to see Aaron Rodgers have that game. That's always going to be the main storyline. But it does still suck. You're looking at this team. You're looking at the 49ers. They arguably have the most talent of any NFL team on the roster. I was surprised that the Chiefs were able to pull it off. And this game, not only do the Niners get to bring back one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, just a phenomenal defense on top of that. The Jets, it's an uphill battle. It's not an unwinnable game, obviously, but it is an uphill battle for the team. And I'm looking at this roster, at this Jets roster. It's the most exciting roster they've had when you consider more realism after the way you look at last year. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. We were thrilled for last year. But once Rodgers went down, the whole perspective changed on things. Healthy Aaron Rodgers. You got Breece Hall. You really got the number 1 and number 2 running backs going at it on Monday night. Uphill battle for the Jets, and there's some spice to this. I mean, Charvarius Ward calling out Sauce Gardner a while back after Sauce said, he's like, well, the Chiefs always find a way, even if the Niners were better on paper. Ward did not like that, talked a lot of trash, basically said, you're hating from the outside of the club while you can't even get in. I definitely just botched that line. But at the same time, he mentioned he's going to be following around Garrett Wilson, throwing a little jab saying, I don't even know his name. It's really tough. And now, I mean, as we've talked about already, Trent Williams restructured this contract, an extra 3, or really just a 3-year deal on it. He's going to be with the 49ers for the foreseeable future, but it starts on Monday. How do we get around dealing with another huge body like this? As you mentioned, the defense comes in waves. There's a lot of fresh bodies. Even without Haason Reddick, who maybe at some point he'll come to the Jets this year. I really hope he does. I've been a fan of his game for a while. But even without him, do you think this is some massive difference maker for the game?
Trent Williams coming back is absolutely a massive difference maker because not only is he their best offensive lineman, he plays the most important position on the offensive line, which is the protector of the blind side of the quarterback. So when Purdy's reading the field off to his right, he knows he can feel safe knowing that someone's behind him protecting. But the reason why I don't think this is as big of a deal as it could be is because I think the Jets over the summer and over the past year have seen a lot of development from their guy who I think is going to be a future star, first-round pick in 2023, Jermaine Johnson. A lot of people forget about Jermaine because he was picked after Sauce Gardner and after Garrett Wilson and in the same draft class as Breece Hall, who is, of course, another very exciting player. But Jermaine Johnson, he was drafted because he was a super, super athletic player who also had the skills to get after the quarterback. A line speaking to his athleticism, when he got drafted, Joe Douglas was on record. He said, when Josh Allen breaks contain and starts to run, this is the mother effer who's going to chase him down. And I think he's going to use that athleticism to get after Purdy, get around Trent Williams, and hopefully mitigate this problem that has happened with this restructure happening. And another news with the 49ers with their contract situation is they got an all-pro at wide receiver back this week, who was Brandon Ayuk. He signed a deal as well for $30 million. I don't think his deal isn't as impactful as Trent Williams because the 49ers have so many weapons that one more, at some point, you get diminishing returns with all those weapons on the field. But they keep adding, and you're talking about their roster and their depth chart and about how that's going to give the Jets problems, but you're forgetting about the head coach, who's Kyle Shanahan, who is a top 5 offensive head coach in the league. His last time not being head coach, he was with the 2015 Atlanta Falcons. If you might remember them, they went to the Super Bowl, and they had a really good offense, and then as soon as he left, their offense disappeared. So he knows what he's doing, and like you said before, the 49ers are going to bring the defense every time. They got Nick Bosa. He signed to a $1 billion contract. Don't look me up on that, but he is, I don't know. He's coming for Aaron Rodgers. We got to protect him this year. And but what's important about this team, about why they're better this year, is because they're ready in case something goes wrong. A lot of people are talking about how the Jets weren't ready last season because once Aaron Rodgers went down, it felt like the whole plan went out the window with him. This year, Robert Saleh and Douglas went out and got a backup quarterback, a real backup quarterback in free agency, and Tyrod Taylor brought him in to learn the scheme and be ready to play in the event that Aaron Rodgers misses a game or two. Of course, if Aaron Rodgers misses the whole season again, it could be a similar season to last year. But this time, we're going to have a fighting chance because of Tyrod Taylor. And we're going to have a fighting chance because if a tackle gets hurt, last year, a ton of offensive linemen gets hurt. We brought in the swing tackle, Olu Fashanu. He can play left tackle, right tackle. He's probably talented enough to play a guard because he's that type of talent. That's why we drafted him top 11 out of Penn State this year.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We were obviously talking about the draft, and we were fans of Fashanu going in. And I do like the help, especially, obviously adding in Tyron Smith was awesome. We were all so hyped for it. The Jets went out and did the ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And it was awesome. It was so fun. But you also do have to understand it comes with the fact that Tyron Smith is not exactly the healthiest man alive. There's worries there. Fashanu really covers for that. And, I mean, outside of the fact that half the Jets' core at this point is from the 2023 draft, we're looking at the 2022 draft, actually. We're looking at the 2023 draft. There's another pass rusher in there in Will McDonald. And obviously, disappointing year. Joe Douglas doesn't really miss on draft picks, that one. Little bit of sweat running down the back of my head thinking, did Douglas miss here? We're looking at a Jets team that when you talk about this defense, yeah, they don't put that much stock into safeties, but we also don't have to act like Chuck Clark and Tony Adams and Ashton Davis are guys who can't play. They're perfectly serviceable safeties, and I mean, let's be real. Is the safety most important position in defense? No. I think the Jets' biggest worry is the lack of a pass rush, and it's not to say they have a terrible pass rush. It's just losing Bryce Huff, bringing in Hassan Reddick, losing Hassan Reddick because he thinks somehow, some way, a team will pay him after this debacle that's happened. I'm really curious to see how the Jets will rally around that. I mean, talk to me. Do you think the pass rush got better, got worse, is the same? Because I'm definitely worried without Huff. He was a monster for us last year.
So, I did make a mistake with the draft class. Sauce Gardner was definitely drafted in 2022, not 2023. In 2023, we drafted a backup and was someone who was meant to be a backup the whole year, unless injuries happen. So the Jets in the NFL, the guys that get paid, it's about getting. First of all, it's about getting the passer. It's about getting the quarterback. Then it's about paying the guys who protect the passer and paying the guys who go get the passer. So the Jets were paying Carl Lawson, and they were paying the other guard who I just had in my head. Do you know who I'm talking about? The other guard, not Carl Lawson, the other one. They're paying a lot of John Franklin Myers.
Yes.
They're paying him too.
JFM.
Both of them have left the team now. Will McDonald was meant to learn behind those guys. He was a raw prospect coming out of Iowa State. He was a guy who had a lot of athleticism and a lot of bend, but he didn't have a lot of pass rush moves. So he took a redshirt year, that rookie year, which was always the plan for Douglas and the rest of the Jets crew. And this year, he's not going to be a guy, but he's going to be someone who can put up 6 sacks, 7 sacks, because he has that nasty spin move that he showcased all preseason. And he's going to be ready to roll. Whether the Jets' pass rush is going to be better or worse, I think it's going to be better because I think they have development on their offensive line. And Hassan Reddick, he's under contract for this year. He needs to play at least 8 games to accrue a season. If he does not accrue a season, that means the Jets still own his rights for next year. So I think sooner or later, he's got to show up to one Jets drive. And when he shows up, it's going to be like Coach Saleh likes to call it, found money. He's going to fit in with the pass rush perfectly. And the Jets' pass rush is going to be better than it's ever been.
All right, so something I do want to bring up real quick is I think something that is kind of going unsung also with this Jets defense is obviously in this era of the NFL, it's really hard to win if you're a team that is just only defense. We've seen that. We've seen it happen where defensive teams, if they don't have a good offense, look, you're really just in a terrible position because your defense is going to be out there forever. Now, that's what happened to the Jets last season. I mean, they had Zach Wilson, who I still don't understand what I don't get it. You're our tape analysis guy, so we'll do a different video breaking that down in the future. But for now, I think the Jets actually having an offense that is ready, and as you mentioned earlier, they're prepared for any real mishap. They're ready this year. They're ready for really anything. I think that's going to help the defense out because they're not going to have to be out there 24/7. They're not going to be every single game. The Jets are not going to be dominated when it comes to time of possession. I think that's a huge help. If you want to add anything on that real quick before we wrap this thing up.
Yeah, just real quick, the Jets definitely this year, they're playing Aaron Rodgers. It's been a couple of years since he's been in MVP form, so their plans to play complementary football, which means on offense, don't turn the ball over, set up your defense in good positions, and just have the defense play off of the offense and have everyone play together cohesively and play solid defense at the same time. So
all right,
that's going to be the plan this year, and we'll see how it works.
Now, we're going to do a whole game breakdown on Monday before the game happens, probably sometime earlier in the day. Might actually be recorded Sunday for those wondering about behind the scenes. We'll figure that out. But long story short here, Matt, I'm not going to do a dance around it. Give me a quick prediction on this game. Real quick, very quick.
Prediction on the game. Yeah. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game. I think
agree.
Aaron's going to struggle. I think Purdy's going to struggle. I think it could be 13-10 low-scoring.
Yeah, I kind of feel very similarly. Obviously, 2 juggernaut defenses going at it. A lot of bad blood on the line. I am so excited for this Jets season. I really just cannot wait to get this thing underway. And along with that, I can't wait to get Jets Digest under the way. Thank you for anyone who tuned in to the first video. We're going to keep going, guys. Obviously, if you know me from Knicks or Yankees Digest, thank you for tuning in. Matt, obviously, your YouTube debut. Anything you want to let the world know before we sign off?
I'm ready.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Make sure to subscribe, like, turn on post notifications. We need the subs because we have 6 right now, but we're going to get there. Guys, have a great day, and go Jets, baby.